Hey, welcome back. Great to have you with us here for part two. And during part two, I'm going to spend the next few minutes letting you know what we do to facilitate the heart you just heard about in part one into the lives of our young people. And to do so, the first question I'll answer, because we always get asked, is why don't you have a youth group at Manna Church like everyone else? And for us, the answer is simple. Because at Manna Church, we are a small group church. We believe that small groups, regardless if you're 8 years old, 12 years old, 25 years old, or 45 years old, small groups are the best way to experience true life and spiritual growth. You get connected with other people in your same life sphere and circumstance, getting a chance to connect with God right where you're at and grow that way. And so we have small groups for everyone from senior citizens all the way down to kids. We believe small groups are the best way to grow. Jesus modeled it for us that way. The disciples all did that. The early church did that. And we believe it's for us the best way, and it's the way God's called us to make disciples here in our local church. We encourage all of our students to own Sunday morning. Our worship experiences here at Manna Church are off the chain, and we encourage students to be on the worship team, be ushers, be greeters, get involved in the children's ministry, learn how to serve in the context of the local church, and listen to the same message that your parents are hearing so that you guys can go home and discuss it during the week. If it goes over their head, that's great. That's an opportunity for you as a parent to really break it down to a level that your child can understand. And so, I don't know about you, but for me, I don't really truly understand something until I'm forced to teach it. And so we think it's a great way for parents to grow, for students to grow, and again, that's why we encourage them to come Sunday mornings. Then we say, okay, get involved in a student-specific small group. We've got dozens of them all over the place because we believe that's the best way to grow spiritually. And so at Manna Church, we are a small group church, and that's how we foster people growing in those the three loves, loving God, loving others, and loving their world. So everything we do is built on the foundation of those three things. And so looking at it, GenIgnite is like an umbrella built on the foundations of these three loves: loving God, loving others, and loving our world. And when we mean by loving God, for students, we mean we want them to become self-feeders. We want them to be able to begin to feed themselves spiritually. So we have a goal that in everything we do, one of our big goals is for students to be able to learn to hear from God on their own, pray effectively on their own, read the Bible and understand what they're saying on their own, and not only have the ability to do it, but have the desire to do that as well. And so that's one of our foundational pillars. When we talk about loving others, we're talking about being connected with others around you who are in a similar life situation, so other students who are also desiring to grow closer to Christ, who can encourage you, who can pray for you, who can inspire you, who can correct you. So we wanted to connect to others at a peer level, but also at a mentor level. So we have a lot of college-age and young adults who lead our students and mentor our students through small groups and different things for the purpose of, we know at some point life is going to happen, and we want to be the people that students turn to for answers when life happens. We don't want them going down to the drug dealer down the street. We don't want them going to the atheist in their class. We don't want them going to the Buddhist who always talks about inner peace. We want them going to a Christian they are connected to when life happens and they don't have any answers for it, because that's when we believe those words can get in their heart. So loving others is being connected to others. And finally, loving the world is simply understanding that all of us are commissioned by God to walk out and play a part in the Great Commission. All of us should be looking out in the world saying, what can I do today to impact the world for God? How can I glorify God through my life today? Jesus calls us ambassadors for his namesake. And so those three foundations, love God, love others, love the world, are what we're built on. And so we've done different things to facilitate that growth. The first thing we have are Ignite groups. And our Ignite groups are simply student-specific small groups that meet in the community. They can be co-ed, they can be guy or gal only, they can be open to all students or specific to middle school, high school, or college. They can be topical, they can be more relational focused, they can be Bible study specific. Really doesn't matter. The point is they're all built in the same foundation with the same goals of seeing students growing in those three loves. And we encourage students, if you can, go to multiple groups. Be a part of as many groups as you can. We don't have a limit. We don't have a, hey, you can only be a part of this group or that group. We believe the more people that are God that you can get connected to, the better off you're going to be. The next thing we have are rush clubs. And rush clubs are specific to our campuses. We believe that God's called us to make an impact on our schools. And like I said, a bunch of guys like Joey are not going to come to our church, so we've got to go to them. because they're not going to hear the word unless someone takes it to them. And so Rush is our way of getting on the campus and empowering our students to impact their school. And so Rush are basically small groups on our campuses that are focused on combining faith and action to bring about change. Finally, another thing I want to point out is, RSM there stands for Rushgate Movement. The only reason that's up there, this is not something that we do at every single site. It's not mandatory, but I have it up there because it's an example of what can happen when you just step out and do something. We had an Ignite group, basically, a Bible study that met at the local skate park a few years ago here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And the skate park owner said, hey, if they come to the Bible study, I'll let them skate for free afterwards. You guys close down the park. It was great. We said, great. So we started out with a small handful. That thing blew up. I'm talking, we just finally had to go raise money in the community and build our own skate park because we had hundreds of skaters all of a sudden wanting to be a part. And literally now, Rush Skate Movement impacts 150 to 200 skaters every single week. We have a whole team that travels and does outreaches. We do competitions, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we're still trying to figure out how to corral it and really beat it into submission. But that thing is just growing and flourishing, and the majority of those kids are completely unchurched. It's incredible, and it's an example of an Ignite group that exploded. So we've kind of given it its own name, Rushgate Movement, but it's built on the same foundation. The heart is the same. If you're a skater, you get a great chance to grow in those three loves by getting involved in that. So another big question we get is, how do we keep everything accountable? How do we keep things accountable? How do we keep this thing going? We have a whole coaching system, which we've developed where every one of our leaders, there's a process that they'll go through, which you'll learn about in part 3, but every one of our leaders is accountable to a coach. And our coaches and our leaders, they meet multiple times a month, and it's for 2 reasons, inspiration and execution. A coach is one of our staff members or just real quality leaders who have had success with small groups and discipleship. And so they basically take a leader under their wing and help them out, keeping them inspired to the vision, but also helping them practically execute their small group. How can you help a student grow in becoming a self-feeder? How can you help a student get connected relationally if they don't know anybody? They answer a lot of the real simple, practical questions in helping our leaders develop successful groups. And so it helps us with accountability, keeps a good touch on things, because there's no way myself or any of our multi-site student ministry leaders could possibly oversee all the groups and keep things accountable, so our coaching system does that. And so those are the 3 big things that we do at a small group level. We also have ways where we basically have things that put wind in our umbrella to kind of rise us to a new level, to say the least. And so we aren't anti-big event, don't get me wrong. We are all about having a great time and having big events that can inspire us and encourage us and take us to the next levels to have big relationships. We just believe the most critical part for us is that small group setting, because again, we're more concerned about solid spiritual growth, making it personalized, because we know that's when you'll own it, but also spread it. But we do a lot of big events. We have rallies every month. Typically, the last Sunday of the month is when we have our rally, unless there's another big church event in the middle of it. But we just come together and just blow out, big worship set, powerful message, drama, dance, just a great time. We have over here the Movement is our huge student conference. We do it every year during spring break. We invite people from all over the region to come and join us, and it's just 3 days of high intensity, high impact. We're going to meet with God, and we're going to go to another level. And that's every spring break, and we're excited about that. On the left side there again, we have the Journey, and the Journey is simply a summertime internship for our students, where they get a chance, because they've got summertime, they got more time, to really go deep and really learn more and grow more in Christ, but also get real practical and very much, big focus on leadership development, character development, but just a great opportunity for students to intern with us and take their faith and the thing to the next level. And on the right-hand side here, that's really all of our leadership stuff. So we have leadership huddles, which every month or a few times a semester, we gather all of our leaders together on a Saturday afternoon or so for a couple hours, and we just bring everyone together to share testimonies, pray together, do some specific training, and encourage each other. And it's a great time, really helps us. We have our leadership charge. Every year, all of our sites come together in August and converge on a local camp, and we just spend a few days together and nights together just connecting with God, connecting with each other, and building our plans for what we're going to do that school year. And that's student leaders, staff leaders, volunteer leaders, anyone who calls himself a leader in GenIgnite, which again we'll talk about more in part 3, is invited and participates in our leadership charge, and it's a blast. It gets us ready to charge onto the campus for the rest of the school year. And lastly there we have the experience, which we just launched recently, is phenomenal. It's a 1-year full-time college internship where students are doing full-time college and as well as a full-time internship, really growing in practical leadership development skills, character, just learning what it really means to be an excellent student, an excellent disciple, and a leader for the kingdom, whether they're going to be a stay-at-home mom, a doctor, a pastor, a professional athlete, whatever they're going to do in the future. It's 1 year of their life they give to really lay a solid foundation, and in doing so, they're interning with us, doing stuff on the campus, leading small groups, but it's really our way to really lay a solid foundation and give these students a chance to earn full-time college credits while also being mentored full-time. So that's kind of what we do to facilitate, again, our heart for students, and hope you're encouraged by it.